I want to ask you if inviting's changed over the years, or maybe it hasn't. I don't know. But is there anything that you learned over the years, or are you doing it the same way you've always done? I mean, if you could coach Leanne her first 3 years in ACN, go back in time, what would you do? What would you say?
Well, in the beginning, I was pretty canned, meaning, are you open to a way of making money outside of what you're currently doing? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's better to ask that than to not ask anything. That's for sure. But what I have learned over the years is, again, that it comes down to most people, they have their immediate family. And other than that, they go out and they work all day and nobody really cares about what happens to them. And then they come home and see their family. And then they go out and grind at whatever career they have, where a bunch of people are just trying to make money off each other. And then they come home. So it's unusual for people to care. So what I do is this is like my crazy thing. Can I tell you my crazy thing that I do? Okay.
Please,
So
please.
when I meet somebody that I think is really cool, like today, I met somebody and I thought she was pretty remarkable. And as I was talking to her, by the way the conversation was going, I realized that she's in the middle of a divorce. And so we chatted for a little bit. I saved her number. And in my phone, in the notes, I wrote down that she was going through a divorce, how old her child was, and a bunch of other notes about her. And so now when I go onto her social media, I'm kind of looking for how I can say something that'll be meaningful to her. So for example, if she posts about her daughter, I now know she only sees her daughter every other weekend. So I can go, oh, I know this is such a special weekend and how much you treasure when you get to be with your little girl. There are things that you can do. Years ago, I had a friend of mine and her daughter was super, super, super smart. And she knew I was doing ACN, never took an interest in ACN, but she was just talking about how her daughter is bored in school. So I waited and then I said to her, hey, I have a question for you. If there was a way that you could have a little side business and it would help you put your daughter in a private school that would challenge her, would you look at it? And she's like, do you mean ACN? I said, yeah, if it puts your daughter in private school. And because I said that, she would do it. So if someone's complaining about debt or trying to take care of their parents, or they're worried, like if you know Americans that work for the government right now, they're all flipping out. Like, are they going to have a job next week? I mean, things like that are going on. So instead of just saying, would you be open to looking at something, just say, wow, thank God you have your job and you have security. I know a lot of people who are in the government are shaky right now. I'm so glad you're okay. And then they'll respond and then say, well, have you ever thought about a backup plan? Because, I know something that's helping a lot of the government workers sleep better at night, just in case. But if you can speak into their world, what it is that they want, what it is that they need, and then you ask, then it's not only more effective because it emotionally engages them, but you set yourself apart because you cared. So I'm going to say one more thing. I know I talk too much. I'm sorry, Dom, but
This
as we
is this is awesome stuff.
so there is a woman in my team who is a real estate agent. And I didn't know her at all, right? But somebody in my team goes, oh, I know this woman. She's a realtor. She'd be really great. And I said, okay. I said, here's what I want you to say to her. And I said, go to her. And I said, tell me a little bit about her. And he goes, well, she's a single mother and she's got a daughter and blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, go ahead and do this. And just say, look, I know you are a really dynamic, successful realtor, but if you could build a residual income that you could leave for your daughter one day, would you be interested in that? And so they went and said that, and the woman goes, yeah, I'd be totally interested in that. And they're like, I know this woman, she's, gonna tell you and beat you, and she'll tell you how you could do something really special for your daughter. So she met with me and we sat down and she goes, oh, this is ACN. And I said, yeah. She goes, somebody showed me this a long time ago. And I said, well, why didn't you do it? She said, because he joined me up and said, well, since you're a real estate agent, he called her up and said, since you're a real estate agent, how about you sell, TV and security and stuff to your clients too? And she goes, I don't want to do that. I sell houses. That's enough. It was just the same business, but the personal piece of it. So she joined our team and she went RVP in a year.